Bubblegum 95, recording live from your local county prison cell. It has been a minute. Galactus Unicron ended, and I just kind of took a break. But here I am again, coming with a very divisive, if I would say, death battle, because there seems to be a big argument with me and a bunch of other people. This fight I'm going to do today is for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to call it Chainsaw Man versus Devilman. Or Devilman versus Chainsaw Man, whichever is on the thumbnail. But, after, the hell is this? Gojo Makima. Which I did like, by the way. Because for those of you who don't know, I did a Makima versus Princess Bubblegum fight, and I said this is the definitive Makima fight. I said this is the correct Makima fight. I still believe that. But Gojo Makima happened, and I liked it. I thought it was good. I still think Makima Bubblegum was better. Is a better idea, but that's just me. And a lot of people are like, no, it has to be Makima Gojo. And then I see like 15 other Jujutsu Kaisen Chainsaw Man fights, and I'm like, whatever, because to be honest, these two series don't seem very similar at all. I don't see why they're getting all these matchups, and I think there's better fights outside of their respect each other. Maybe it's the fact that they kind of got popular around the same time. Kaizen's a little bit earlier, but point is, this is basically me going out of my way to not do a Denji versus Yuji fight. Because I think that's terrible. I think it's not a good idea. And I think this is probably the correct Denji fight as well. Much like I said, Makima Bubblegum was the correct Makima fight, I believe this is the correct Denji fight. And so, yeah, getting into it. Now, this is going to be hard to, it's going to be a little hard to do because of a few things. Chainsaw Man, the anime, which is just the most convenient way to observe feats and whatnot, is a little more vague with their power scaling. And Devilman has like 9,000 interpretations of it as a work when you consider like crossovers and like manga novelizations, movies, OVAs, TV shows, spin-offs. So this is not an easy thing to do here. So I'm going to use the information I have, or the information I was able to look up at least, and I'm going to do it that way. So Denji, makes a contract with the former Chainsaw Devil, or at least the remnants of the former Chainsaw Devil. Pochita uses him as his heart, and becomes kind of a hybrid of the Chainsaw Devil. Right? In this hybrid form, he's able to generate chainsaws at will, from his one from his face to one from each of his arms. And these chainsaws are chainsaws. They do what chainsaws do. They cut things up. Right? Alongside that, he has very considerable superhuman strength, speed, durability. Even in his base human form, he has peak, ability. He has like very, peak abilities. And he's also very, very hard to kill. As long as he ingests blood, he's able to keep regenerating and not die. And even if he does get quote-unquote killed, all you have to do is pull the chainsaw on his chest and he kind of restarts. But like I said, the blood is the key to his regeneration, but also the key to his other abilities in general, where if he doesn't have enough blood, his powers just kind of stop working. Um, this is still similarly true in his full devil transformation, where he kind of, what did it say? He didn't cancel his contract with Pochita, but he like gave it up or something, and that let him become the full devil mode. I don't know. In this, he's incredibly much more powerful. He's able to go into space. He's able to go into hell. There was a whole Makima fight that he went through. He's able to do all this crazy shit. He's able to regenerate from just being a heart, just being his heart. But again, it still similarly relies on blood. Now, he's pretty much still unkillable. It's just he will get weaker over time. And the other kind of more terrifying ability, at least in the Chainsaw Man universe, is the ability of Devil Erasure, which is that in the Chainsaw Man universe, because all of the devils represent an absolute evil, when they die, they're reincarnated into another form. The Chainsaw Devil was so terrifying due to this ability of Devil Erasure, where if he ate someone, if he killed and ate a devil, not only did they not reincarnate, the evil that they represented was ceased to exist. It was erased from time, and it never existed, which made him especially terrifying. Now, that's also considering the fact that he eats devils. Like, he can just eat you. Usually he cuts you up and eats you, though. That's the thing. He doesn't just, like, swallow you whole or anything. So, yeah. There's some other abilities, like he's able to, like, use the chains on his chainsaws and, like, separate them and, like, create whips and stuff. And he's got some really... But basically, he is a very, very fast, hard-hitting, hard-hit-taking, nigh unkillable, rip-and-tear murder machine. And is one of the most infamous devils, and probably the most infamous devil in the series, I would say, for that reason. The same thing can be said about his opponent. What the hell is the character's actual name? I forget, but I'm just gonna call him Devilman because there's a lot of like fucking demonology references in this series. I think is it Amon or Anon is the devil that he merges with. Anyway, Kid becomes a devil. Same sort of thing. His body becomes host to a devil. His lightheartedness or his pure heart means that he wasn't possessed by the devil, but instead the devil merged with him, and now he controls the devil's powers, so he becomes the hero known as Devilman. Devilman's strength goes from being so, like, just being, like, a regular superhero to being nigh, like, abstract at times. So, again, I'm going to try to use everything I can. Again, we've got things like superhuman strength, durability, speed, superhuman senses, regeneration, same sort of deal. He's had limbs torn off. He's had his stomach slashed open. He's been nigh, like, he's had. I'm pretty sure he might have been decapitated at some point. Like, the guy's had, he's been electrocuted, burned, and just keeps coming back from it. Part of that is because he has the ability of matter absorption, where he can just kind of take living matter and just kind of assimilate it into himself. Now, this is not something that's done quite as freely as you might think. I mean, there's an argument that he might need to be hurt in order to use it, because, like, you can't just keep taking matter into yourself. Like, that's not how, like, physics works. Then again, neither are fucking demons, but that's besides the point. Otherwise, like, why wouldn't you just absorb everyone that you were fighting? But for whatever reason, yeah, the whether or not that's part of it, we don't know. But he can heal himself by absorbing, any organic matter, and has even in times absorbed machinery, such as in the Getter Robo crossover. And aside from that, it has a few more famous powers, like being able to fly, being able to shoot, being able to breathe fire, shoot heat rays, shoot electricity, things like that, to some more obscure powers like teleportation and phasing through solid objects. And if we're talking about scope, again, there's been a lot of crossovers with Devilman, but like the Cyborg 09 crossover, Devilman was able to react and actually outspeed Cyborg 09, who moves at supersonic speeds, to the point where if he's carrying a person while moving at those speeds, they will die due to the friction of the air against them will literally, like, tear them apart. So he's able to move at speeds that would literally tear humans apart, which is, like, beyond terminal velocity. And yeah, so, and strength-wise, we've seen him, like, we've seen him dragged through entire cities. We've seen him, he's also, I believe, fought in space before. Yeah, and then once you get into, like, the later incarnations of him, like in the novels and whatnot, he's essentially, like, evolved beyond the mortal coil. Like, he has to, it's like he has to he has to bring himself down to exist within the mortal realm. He can't, like, fully bring all of his power in. Like, that's how strong he is. And in those incarnations, he usually has some sort of telepathy or mind control, and can even, like, look through a person's memories and whatnot, which would be really, really helpful in this fight, obviously. So, who do I see winning this? Well, I could go back and forth and say so-and-so's powers are more important than other people's powers and whatnot, et cetera, et cetera. But the problem with that is diversity of power isn't so much, or, like, type of power used isn't really so much of an issue when both of these characters just refuse to die. They're both borderline unkillable. So, how do you determine a winner here? Is it killing ability? Well, they both have nearly unprecedented killing ability. They've both taken out similar enemies with basically no effort. So, and they both have pretty comparable, feats of strength, I would think. So it's not necessarily the hits they've taken or what they could dish out, but more or less the process by which. And because I'll explain that in a second, but I'm going to give it to Devilman here. Denji's limitation is the reliance on blood. Yes, there's going to be a lot of bleeding in this fight. That's going to happen. But he has to consume the blood in order to regenerate. Technically, all Devilman has to do is just touch Denji and start absorbing some of his, matter into him, and he regenerates. He could straight up, like, Denji could just end up losing an arm from getting touched, not even having it ripped off, which, again, has happened. Denji has had limbs removed and has regenerated them from consuming blood, but Denji has to drink the blood in order to regenerate, whereas Devilman can just take the arm that he ripped off and just use it and attach it, and it's his arm now. So that's just a more efficient... To me, that's just a more efficient way of regeneration. uh, assuming it is a regeneration, not just like a power he can just touch you and absorb you, right? The other thing here is, yeah, the evasion, things like teleportation and phasing through solid objects, that's going to make it a lot harder for Denji to actually, land in hits as frequently. And, Devilman does have some more ranged attacks than Denji has, which is going to help him keep him at bay. But the most important thing here to me is that Denji had, in order to fully regenerate from being killed, somebody has to pull the ripcord on Denji's chest, right? But in order to do that, right? But like that's not going to happen in this fight. Like he's not going to have an ally there to do that. So, whereas, the healing abilities of Devilman, again, I forgot the character's name. Is it Akira? I don't know. Are pretty much on par with Denji's, and his durability is pretty much on par with Denji's. So, not like yes, he's not gonna. Denji's immortality is a result of that, of the fact that if he ever dies, somebody can just bring him back to life, basically, right? But it's not really a factor in this fight, then, if that's the case. And in a fight where, like, you might say, well, how is he gonna die if he's regenerated from being a heart? Well, both of these characters eat their enemies half the time. Or, in Devilman's case, he just kind of takes a part of them and then just sticks it on himself, and he has it now. So, what's to stop him from just taking the heart and just eating it, or having his heart ripped out and taking Denji's and just putting Pochita in his own place and just absorbing it, right? There's no, like, the whole scaling system of devils doesn't really work here because, like, they're both, like, the top demons of their respective place. So, like, there's no, like, oh, well, it wouldn't work because he's a higher class demon or something than him. So, that's why I'm going to give this. It's just the fact that, like, they both pretty much have all of the same they don't have the same powers, but they have all the same qualifications. They have all the same reasons why they would win. It's similar to, like, a Jason Michael situation where, like, yeah, they're both pretty much unkillable, but, like, one's going to be harder to kill than the other. Like I said, it is a distance thing. It is a reach thing. It is there is a bit of a type of powers dynamic that actually makes it harder for Devilman to be killed. But it's mainly the fact that it's just more efficient regeneration, and also, not being tied to a weakness that, actively makes you less powerful. That's kind of the reason for me giving him this win. Like, yeah, that weakness becomes less and less problematic if he goes full transformation, but that weakness is there to begin with, where it isn't there in an equally powerful opponent like Devilman. So, I'm going to give it to Devilman. But, yeah, like I feel like I say every time, hopefully I can upload a little more frequently than I've been, but let's just say I was going on a break. Anyway, Verbal Engine 95, that's it.